Hello and welcome to the show. We have another star for you today. Would you like to welcome Nick from AR12 Gaming?
Hello, people of FailRace. I am apparently a star in a very silly car.
It is indeed. It is a very, very silly car. Now, for those of you who haven't seen this before, this is how it works. I have built and set up this Jeep Wrangler with rather odd suspension is probably the fairest way to put it.
Very odd suspension, I would say.
Yeah, very. You can see it's bouncing about in the loading screens. That's how strange it is. I will then be giving it to various stars from YouTube, and they will try and complete a lap around Camino Viejo circuit as best they can. This is not an easy car to drive, so when you see them crashing and flipping, it's not all their fault. It's partly down to the car. Anyway, you are getting started on your practice lap. Everybody is given 8 practice laps, and then they're given one sort of timed lap. Were you nervous with this car when you were coming into doing this?
I went to the other guys' videos that you've posted already, Mr. Arrow HD and Tomcat, and I watched them, studied it very precisely, and saw that I was going to have no chance whatsoever.
You did your research then before
I did. I took notes. Made sure to get every corner's line exactly, and none of that happened because the car is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what it is. Like, I think it's on drag tires, and like the suspension's really soft. It bounces everywhere, and
it's not on drag tires.
No,
it might be on race. I can't even. I built this car and I can't remember what it's on. I think it's on racing tires. Anyway, this is probably one of the most impressive corners I've seen yet from anyone driving that car. I have a feeling that probably wasn't intentional. But
I don't think anything in this was intentional.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So you managed to get about a lap out of it before it flipped.
Yeah.
So well done. You got further than Tomcat did before you rolled it. But for those of you who haven't seen this before, again, basically I've got to try and remember which way on the suspension is. One of the suspensions is really soft in the front. I think the back's really soft, the front's really stiff, which means it's almost permanently got a wheel in the air. Yeah,
the front wheels go in the air and you can't turn.
Yeah, every time you go around a corner, it does that. That's a very impressive roll, and nearly parked it on the nose. Nearly. I wonder if it would got stuck on its nose. I wonder what the game would have done. I don't know if it would be able to rescue it. That would have been interesting. I've never seen that happen before. You then decide to go and take the cameraman out. Look out! Oof,
and do some more flips, and then a wheelie. Good.
An impressive wheelie. Very impressive wheelie. I think the cameraman might have had a little poo there because that would blooming close. So yeah, you can see this car is pretty insane to try and keep under control. You were going for the bit of the sliding technique as well, I see? I was
handbraking around some of the corners. Realized that didn't work. So my next strategy was slow and steady. It sort of worked. Because like, when you drive this and you brake, and then you turn, your wheel lifts off the ground. So your car is not slowing down as much as it should. And it's also not turning. So you're going into the wall regardless of what you do. So I was just trying to take it slow into the corners after that, but still insanely hard car to drive no matter what speed you're going.
Yeah, there's been a few different tactics. Personally, my preference for this one is you kind of have to take it a little bit slow. Sure, you lose a little time because you're not as fast, but you kind of regain a little bit of control. As you can see here, when you're not sliding through that corner, you can just about keep it under control. Yeah. But even then, at slow speeds, I also noticed you were using higher gears as well at points to try and sort of stop the wheel spin and stuff. Even then, you can see how much is bouncing about. This top of the hill is very nasty. There's a little dip.
I think I smashed into that corner every lap.
Yes, I noticed there was many trips into the barrier. That's a very impressive roll there from you as well.
Almost sticking it on the nose again.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure how you got that one to roll over, because it kind of fell over in a straight line. That's very impressive. Well done. You've managed to crash in a straight line. Nearly got the cameraman down there.
Sideways.
Just a little bit. So yeah, your practice wasn't amazingly smooth. You can tell by the state of the car, the fact that it is now silver as opposed to orange.
Yeah, wasn't
there were a few scrapes.
Brilliant. It was a hard car to drift or drive at all.
It's certainly a very hard car to drift. You get another big. You were getting really unlucky with the bounces at the top of that hill, I noticed.
Oh yeah.
there was many bounces. However, it was now time for your one flying lap. Were you nervous going on to just one lap? You can't make any mistakes on this one.
I was extremely nervous. I was like, oh no, and it was bad.
So far, nobody has rolled it on their flying laps. You took out a cameraman already. It's a good start. And another fairly large jump over there. I have to say, I reckon this bit down here is probably the trickiest of the entire track.
It gets really bouncy. There's like little bounces in the road you wouldn't usually notice, but when you're in this, oh yeah, you notice them, and you're going up and down.
You notice every little bump in the road. You decided to go for the slow and steady technique around that long corner rather than the sideways one, which I would still maintain is probably a little bit faster. But you can actually have the car, if you steer sort of too much, it will eventually roll over on its own accord through no fault of its own. But that was again quite a big wheelie over the top of the hill
and crash into that wall.
Yeah, we should name that AR12 wall down there. I'm pretty sure you found out most laps. Again, through here, this bit here is not too bad around here. It's not as bumpy through this section. It's slightly cambered, which can kind of catch the cars out a little bit, but it's not too bad. This bit here, again, it's sort of over a crest of a hill, can get a little bit of a nasty bump, as you found there.
Yep.
Had the tail in the air that time. That's a new one, and it's around the final corner.
We're going to have all the cones.
Yeah, all the cones are gone, all the boards are gone. Don't worry, you don't have to pick them up. And there we go. You are across the line. So, how do you think the lap went? It looked pretty good, actually.
I think it went pretty well, but I did use the slow and steady technique, and it's very interesting what I think I got.
Well, the lap time for AR12 Gaming is a 1:23.2, which puts you in first on our leaderboard. We have a new leader.
That's epic. I really don't think that will last very long, but...
I have to say, I think the slow and steady, the technique is the way to go.
I think so.
That is a pretty impressive lap time. Admittedly, even with a crash into the wall, in fact, a couple of places you scraped the wall, that's still a pretty good lap time. I reckon you probably got a second, or maybe a bit more quicker, if you hadn't got an unlucky bounce at the top of that hill and kind of gone into the wall.
Yeah,
however, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we thank AR12 for coming onto this show and having a go with a very silly car.
Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
That's quite all right. Next week, we know who's going to be on next week, and we look forward to that one. That should be an interesting one. There's been a few issues with time differences and stuff. Being in England makes this really pain. But yes, thank you everybody for watching, and until next time, goodbye.